Horikoshi is currently doing something that will solidify himself as one of the greatest mangakas in the history of shonen manga. He's ending My Hero Academia perfectly. Today, we have to talk about the conclusion of Toga versus Ochaco and why this conclusion is the most perfect conclusion of a storyline than you could get out of any character. Now, I need your grace without any slander when I say these words. There was a time when I used to hate Toga. And I'm not talking about I just disliked her. No, I questioned her presence in the story. I didn't like anything that had to do with her existence. I thought her character design was just for fan service. Her storyline didn't make any sense to me, and there was no way that I thought that she was gonna have a good ending, let alone the great ending that we have in this chapter. And even though I'm taking back my original take, I think that I'm still justified in how I saw Toga throughout reading My Hero Academia. In my opinion, I think the reason I didn't have a strong enough connection with Toga was because we didn't really get too much screen time of Toga versus Ochaco, where Toga actually talks about what she actually feels. I said actually too many times just then. Whenever we got a scene with Toga just by herself, she would talk in such vague terms. She would never specify exactly how she felt deeply within her core on a specific situation. And that is especially true in the Paranormal Liberation War arc, where my hatred for Toga grew immensely because in her one-on-one interaction with Ochaco, she had the perfect opportunity to tell us in Ochaco how she feels and what exactly she's looking for. But she cried and ran away after killing an old lady just to get the attention of Ochaco. And you know what that does? It justifies not only Ochaco's response to Toga, but every hero's response to Toga. I'm not gonna turn a blind eye to the fact that you're murdering people just because you're mad that your friend, who's also killed many people, has died. So no, I don't understand you. And it's because you aren't willing to tell me what to understand about you. And that is the brilliance that Horikoshi has done in the story, which makes this conclusion so perfect. Toga not speaking or Toga not expressing her true feelings deep inside is a result of her past. See, unlike characters like Shigaraki in Dabi or even Spinner in All for One, Toga's upbringing was a little different than all of them. Being ostracized and judged and attacked and being called a demon child because of the way that you express yourself, while also having no one on your backing of trying to understand why you are who you are, that is going to put you in a situation where you're not going to believe that even if you say something, people would want to listen. And the only time you will express who you truly are to people are to the ones who understand you. And it just turns out that for Toga, or in the My Hero Academia world, the people that understands her are also the people who are ostracized. They're the bad guys. And now that Toga is associating herself with people who actually cares to understand who she actually is, when one of her friends die at the hands of a hero, and you as a hero try to tell her that you want to understand her, that doesn't match. Because heroes never take time to understand villains. And even if they do try to take time to understand villains, because of the villain's actions and what they've done, they're still gonna try to kill them. They're still gonna try to ostracize them. They're still gonna try to put them in jail and seclude them with people who are like them. So it's a lose-lose situation. You speak, you express yourself, you still go to jail, or you still end up dead. And in seeing it through that lens, it obviously changes how I see Toga. But then there's Ochaco, who, similar to Toga, is nothing like the other heroes in her group. How she sees and interacts with the world is completely different than how Deku, Bakugo, Shoto, Ida, and anyone else sees and interacts with the world. Unlike every other hero in My Hero Academia, from a young age, Ochaco has never been fixated or fascinated with heroes. And in fact, from the youngest age that we could remember, Ochaco has always been fixated and fascinated by the people supporting the heroes. Whenever there's a villain attack and the hero is going to save the villain, everyone's eyes are glued to the hero trying to save the villain. But for Ochaco, her focus was on the citizens, and as they encourage and praise and support the hero verbally, that is what made her smile. This way of thinking is likely connected to the unfortunate reason why Ochaco wanted to become a hero. Ochaco originally wanted to become a hero to help her family out financially. This burden that Ochaco feels like she has to take is the one-to-one representation of citizens and heroes, and why she's so fixated on the supporters of the heroes rather than the heroes themselves. Now, when I say that, we immediately have to go back to her as a child and her dynamic with her and her parents' situation. They're the people that put so much effort, love, and support into making sure that she is safe. But there's one major area in which they are hurting themselves. And Ochaco, being the one that is supported, now wants to take on the burden of saving the heroes when they need saving. So she decided to become a hero and get all the money that she possibly can get, just so that she can put every penny back into her family's business so that they can thrive, which would save her parents and allow them to go back to being her heroes. And that story in and of itself is beautiful to me, because the main source of all of that is understanding. You see, why everyone is so fixated on the heroes defeating the villains, Ochaco has a level of understanding that is deeper than everyone else, where she's focused on, well, what would happen whenever the hero needs to be saved? What then will happen? Who will save them? And with a quick mind, you may say, well, another hero is just going to come out of the woodworks and save them, so we don't have to worry about that. And technically, that's right. But what happens when the rate of heroes are declining because everyone is quitting their job because they don't have faith in hero society? What happens when there's a situation in which no hero can actually save the hero that needs to be saved? Who then can save the hero? At that point in time, the supporters needs to be the heroes. So everyone is a hero. And then understanding that what you do is you equal out the playing field on how valuable you are in respects to a professional hero. All heroes are people that are paid to save you. But under their costume, they're just a regular person. A person that in many situations might need to be saved themselves, and you cannot view them as any higher than actually who they are, because the moment you do, society is broken. Hopefully you don't think I'm just babbling on, because everything that I'm saying is pretty much in the speech that Ochaco gave to the citizens in UA when Deku came back to UA. A speech that says that Deku is just a 16-year-old boy. He's not special at all. He's just someone who's willing to do the dang work, but outside of that, he needs to be saved himself. And you should have a responsibility to save him, because we're all just humans. And that is a statement that allows Ochaco saving Toga to be such a perfect conclusion to their story. I'm not going to view a hero as more than what they are, just a human. And I'm not going to view a villain less than what they actually are, just a human. The difference between the two is that people praise one and hold them in high regards, and people shun and ostracize one and treat them as if they're the worst people in the world. So in bringing all of that together, it makes the one thing that I was the most confused about when it comes to the Toga versus Ochaco situation make sense. I was always curious as to why Toga would randomly say, I want to talk about girl stuff with you. I want to talk about boys with you. I want to talk about relationship stuff with you. I never understood why she would just randomly talk about that. But I now see that all that was a cry to be treated like a human, to be treated like the teenager she is. And no one wanted to do that. And yet and still, Toga was begging Ochaco to save her. And saving her just meant treating her like the 17-year-old girl that she is. So when Horikoshi drew the final panels of My Hero Academia chapter 394, the final panels that conclude the story of Ochaco versus Toga, where Toga asks, am I cute? And Ochaco replies, the cutest in the world, that is what you call a perfect ending. Win your zone every single day.